Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our March Town Hall. Lots of really exciting things to share with you. So before we get started, I wanted, obviously, again, to say welcome and thank you for joining us. And then I think here's our agenda. I always think our promises first, but it's not. So just some updates. I'm going to talk about the National Council delegate. And we're kind of going to go out of order here. We'll talk about National Council delegates. We'll go through the volunteer appreciation. We'll go through membership product. And then I'm going to actually end with the Sean Scout data. And that's in a separate slide. But that is data that GSUSA actually had done. And it's pretty fascinating data. It's obviously on girls ages 4 to 12. But in addition, it really looks at people or girls and families that are not part of Girl Scouts, and why they're not, and what they're really looking for their girls. So lots of great information. I've shared this with the staff, with the board, with our archives group, with several different constituencies, because it really is important data that will, I think, really help inform how we move forward. So next is our promise. All right, Kathy, I heard you already unmuted. Do you mind doing the promise for us? You're also the first one on my screen.
Okay. All right. On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law.
Thank you very much. All right, so let's start with National Council delegates. So really just wanted to remind you all that our next convention, it feels like we just ended one, right? But it is time for our next one, or to start preparing for our next one. It's going to be in July of 2026. It is going to be in Washington, D.C., which is really great for us. It's close, so we hope we're going to have a really wonderful full group attending NCS with us. But as a part of the new, I guess it's a part of the Blue Book now, or an amendment that they made in NCS 2020, we now elect our National Council delegates 2 years before the annual or the triennium for the NCS. So that means that in January of 2025, we are going to be electing our delegates for NCS. So I know typically that would have been in 26, but it is not 26. It is now going to be in 25. Lots of that information, most of that information is going to be found on our website. We are updating the application. It has not been updated in a while. Not that a lot of it has changed, but we do want to make sure we review it and update it. And as a reminder, any member, Girl Scout, ages 14 and above, can apply to be a National Council delegate. We typically in the past have had the CEO and the board chair attend, and then we will have 1 or 2 additional delegates. It depends on our membership count, and we will know what our number is going to be after November of this year. We're going to get those counts in November, and so we will know exactly how many we need to elect by January. That also was a change at NCS 23, because what would have happened in the past is we would have not gotten that information until November of 25. And then we would have already elected in January of 25. And like in the past, we had 4 this last NCS and only needed 3. So this is better timing all around. We'll know. So please encourage those that you know who are interested in governance to consider being a National Council delegate. If they are not interested in being a National Council delegate, please do already start your conversations about trying to make sure as many girls and members and volunteers as possible attend NCS in 2026 in Washington, D.C. Right. So Volunteer Appreciation Month is coming up. We're really excited. And we have several things coming. I am finalizing. So I was hopeful that I would have the little card with all the dates, but we're going to have one card that we share all the dates and times and locations. So we are going to have events I am going to be going to all of these areas. We're going to have an opportunity for you to come, and either we're going to be at a brewery or a winery or a coffee house, and in some locations both, a night and a morning. So we have opportunities for you to come if you'd like to meet and just talk with me in person. It's my opportunity to come and make sure that I'm saying thank you to you all in person. And as I said, buy you a coffee, a beer, a glass of wine, something to certainly raise a toast to you for all that you do, and to say thank you for all that you do for Girl Scouting. So I'm going to be in Harrisonburg, Roanoke, Blacksburg, Charlottesville, Lynchburg, and Lexington. And again, in some locations, there will be more than one event, an evening and a morning. And we're going to try to make that work as many ways as we can. One or two maybe in the first part of May. And I apologize for that. It's very hard to get this many in 1 month. I didn't realize that. And we also have our leadership summit, not next week, but week after next. So I'll actually be out that week at our leadership summit with GSVSC and all the other C-suite staff in the movement. We are also working on another event. It is not finalized, so it's not on here, but I am going to tell you I'm really, really excited about it. That we are hopeful, prior to the recognition event on April 21st, correct, Jody? On Sunday, April 21st, we are hopeful that we are going to have an opportunity for anyone who is attending there or volunteers in the area who just want to come to join us at Ishimani for an event and an activity that we are going to have for you all to, again, say thank you for all that you do for Girl Scouting. So watch for that information. We hope to have all of that finalized and the event prior to recognitions by early next week. All right. Couple of things on membership. Believe it, I can't believe April 1st is this weekend. It's a little bit scary to think that, but we did want to make sure that we shared information about early bird and what's coming up. So our MY25 annual memberships, girls right now are $35. They were previously $32. Adults are $25. The change is that the increase in our council service fee from $7 to $10. We have obviously administrative fees, cost things are going up as we see, and we really wanted to keep it as minimal as we could. So we are able to absorb some of those costs, not all of those, obviously, in moving the fee from 7 to 10. And then the 24 to 25 extended year membership, which is available to all new members beginning April 1st, is $50 for girls, previously $46, adults $35. And again, that service fee is increasing as well, and it is comparable to what it was for the 1 year. It's just a year and a half. So, but we have exciting news. I think most everyone knows anyway, so I'll say it anyway. This is our membership. You can go back. No, go ahead. This is our membership as of 3/10, March 10th. And so you see we're getting really, really close to passing those numbers from 23, and we want to do that because we want to continue growing. We're back. There are lots of events. Girls are meeting, troops are meeting. There are opportunities for everyone to be outside. So we really want to make sure that we are offering Girl Scouting to any girl that we can that's interested in participating. So we are hopeful. Certainly after early bird and we have this extended year, we're going to see that grow and MY25 surpass both of these years. All right, so here is our renewal rewards, and I think we may have. I love that the little dots. Don't miss our early bird special discount. So cute, y'all. It's just precious. So we are going to do a free membership promotion. It's going to start at 6 a.m. on April 1st, and from April 1st to April 15th, troop co-leaders can renew their membership for free through the 15th. And it's going to automatically apply at checkout. Volunteers, you must select or renew your troop co-leader role at the time of your membership renewal for it to be applied. And then April 1st to May 1st, girl members can renew for free. And that promotion is automatically going to be applied at checkout. And then obviously we have our free t-shirt again. I'm really excited about the color. Is that in here, Jody? Okay, you can see that. Don't change it. Yeah, I know you're going to go through it with them. So I wanted to make sure. Really cute color. We're going to stay with the tie-dye. And then we have a wonderful decal that we are doing that is all about our Girl Scout era. We're in our Girl Scout era, so everyone would get a decal. And that promotion starts at 6 a.m. on May 1st, and that is May 1st until they're all gone. And so you wanna do that as quickly as you can in GS events. And I am going to turn this over to Jody because she is the expert in showing you how to do that in GS events. Jody.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, I'll most start with doing just a quick demo of the free membership. So I'm going to use someone else's that needs to renew. So like I said, when you, like Nikki said, you need to select your troop co-leader role. And if you start, when you log in, you go to My GS and you click on your My Household and you want to click troop co-leader role. When you do that, it will automatically select your troop and your membership. So that way, if you start with your troop co-leader role, you're covered. And then you click add renewal and you should see that your volunteer position for troop co-leader should show up right here under your troop, your name, and then you're going to select current year. And then you still, even though it's free, you have to select credit cards. So you select credit cards, save details, and then you'll see when you get to your cart, it automatically takes the membership fee off. And of course, this is for 24. This is just a demo. And then to complete that, you would select I agree to the promise of law, like we all should, and then hit submit. That's for the co-leaders. And real quick, I will demonstrate just for the girls as well. Just give me a second and I will demonstrate that as well. So let me have a girl here that, again, I'm using a lapsed member as an example, just so y'all can see how it works. So give me just a second.
Any questions while Jody's pulling this up so far?
Right, so you go to your household again, you select their troop and their membership, add renewal. You do have to make sure that you select the caregiver relationship. It should populate, this should highlight for the current membership year. Again, select your credit card and save details, even though it's free. And then again, the discount for girls is automatically applied. So no membership codes have to be mailed out or discount codes. We've figured it out how to do this without that. So, and again, it's for renewal only. So, and then you can review your cart and look and see, and it tells you. And again, to finish that process, you have to select and agree to the promise of law. So again, this is for renewal and your free memberships. So I'll pop out of that real quick and see if there's any questions. Any questions for anybody?
I know you all are very sad that we made it easier and you don't have to get a code and go through all of that work.
We are getting a couple of questions. If you type a message in the chat, make sure it's going to everyone so that Jody can see them.
Yeah.
But somebody asked, what if it has the incorrect role?
So again, the free membership discount is for troop co-leaders. You have to have a troop program code as your for the system to recognize it. If you are a chaperone or a driver or some other finance role, that is not applicable. The promotion is for troop co-leaders and for girls.
Hey,
And what
Jody,
if you have more than one troop? Do you renew? It says renew at that time also. So I don't know if the question is, do you renew all your troops at once or what?
So as a troop leader, you can go in and select your girls and renew them as well. It's what it's looking for is that it's a girl member, that they're a current member now, and they are renewing for 2025. Okay, the system, that's what it shows for girls. For adults, it's looking for that they are a current member now and they're renewing their membership for next year and they have a troop co-leader role. You have to have those things to be applicable.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Because
talking about I'm a troop, I'm also I'm 1 in 3025, and then like if I was in troop 728 as co-leader.
Right.
I'm co-leaders in 2 different troops.
That's okay. That's okay. Is all it's looking for is that troop co-leader role. So you want to select
Okay.
them. And so the thing is, to renew your membership, you only have to select one of those roles. But if you want to go back, you want to go back and renew your roles. So for instance, if you have multiple roles, let me go back. Let me end there. Hold on just a second. Let me go back to the other one that I was in. So I don't think she has multiple roles, but I'll double check.
Okay, like a service unit, I would renew at that time too. Go back in and do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The key thing is that in order for your discount to be applied, it's looking for the troop co-leader role. So for instance, if I just selected this in membership, it won't give you the discount. What it's looking for is this role. But if you have multiple roles, go ahead and add them all and renew them at once, similar to this. Does that make sense?
okay, so I would have to go in and put a co-leader role on every single one of my administrators.
Well, they need to have the applicable role, you know.
Okay, and none of us do. Honestly, none of us are listed as leader co-leaders. They're listed as administrators. That was created for adventurers.
Yes, and so again, it applies for troop co-leaders. So that's
Okay.
if we need to have an offline discussion about that, we will. So
most of them are lifetime members, so it doesn't apply. But I can pass that on to them, and they can take care of it themselves.
Yeah, yes, we can talk about program because some of the adventure roles, and Debbie, what I'll have to look at is, does the role have a program leader code? So what y'all can't see is what we see and what the system sees, and it's looking for a program co-leader program role. Okay, program leader role. So that's something we can talk offline.
Okay. Okay, sounds good.
Go ahead,
Hey,
Nikki.
Jody, will you check the chat as well? I only have you and Melissa, and I'm wondering if everyone has that.
I think I have fixed
I do
it.
too.
Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't see those messages.
I
So
do
that's
not-
all I was saying.
I didn't
I'm
see
not seeing
everybody.
anything either. No.
We
That's
just
why
wanna
I
make
sent
sure
what
we
I
can help
sent.
them. All right, Melissa said she thinks she fixed it. Okay, good.
Okay, yeah. So I'm not seeing all the chat. So if there are some questions still. So the second thing I did is, we know last year, because the t-shirts and decals are in GS events. And the reason why we do this is so we can use our resources wisely. And this helps expedite our ability to get t-shirts and decals out to the people who really want them. So yes, you have to be a member for 2025 in order to get these. But it's open for adults and girls, and we'll get into that. But I created a demo, and we'll share this link out, that you can actually practice and practice, registering for this and claiming something and GS events, so you have a chance to do that. So I'm going to log in as me real quick, and I'll show you. So again, this is just a demo. We'll share the link so you can practice and get ready for the real thing on May 1st. So let me go back in. So the first thing you have to do, and one of the things that people forget, is that you have to log in first and get into your account and then click on the link. So I'll give y'all some tips. So now that I'm logged in and it knows it's me, now I can try to actually claim my t-shirt. So the first thing you want to do is you want to select who you're claiming the t-shirt from. And again, this is just a demo, so I just did a couple sizes. The t-shirt size, because we know everybody wants the t-shirt, it is required. And so you have to select the size. I will, as best I could, not all of them, the shirt sizes are in order. So give yourself a second to make sure you're selecting the right size for the right person. And then you click the number. It will not let you select more than one shirt. You get one shirt per person. Okay, so it's automatically set up that way. The second thing is with the decal. You still have to select this drop down, but if you don't want a decal, just leave it at 0. Not everybody might want a decal. Maybe they do. If they don't, leave it at 0. So say I don't want one. I leave that at 0, and then I hit credit card. Again, gotta still select credit card. That's the other thing of GS events. And then you hit submit details, and you can review your cart and what you've checked out. And again, to check out completely, you have to agree to the promise and law. but it's pretty quick and easy. And again, I'll share the link if anybody, I'll leave the demo open so you can test it out and use the real thing, but hopefully that helps. Like I said, I can go back. So you can see here that I've selected one adult shirt, and my shirt is small and there's no decal selected here because I chose to leave it at 0. But if I went back and changed that and added a decal or whatever, now I've already passed through it, but I can add that if I wanted to. So hopefully that helps. Again, trying to make it as easy as possible. And again, I'll share that link. If anybody, that link is open, I'll leave it open for a few days. That way, if you feel like there's, you're having trouble with your account, we can troubleshoot that before the actual event in May 1st. So it's going to be very similar to this renewal event, and t-shirts and are available, and decals are available for girls and adults that have renewed for 2025. It knows if you haven't renewed. So let me go, it's wanting to jump a little bit, but it'll know if you don't have a membership, because it's going to ask you. So t-shirts are going to be limited to 400 girls. Like Nikki said, they're limited supply. It's a promotion. It's like, you got to get in there and claim it. It will open May 1st. There's 400 girl t-shirts, 200 adult t-shirts, and then then there's decals. And this is the cute little decal that Nikki was saying in my Girl Scout era decal. There's 2,000 for girls and 500 for adults. And once they're gone, they're gone. Any questions about any of that? So hopefully this will help with everybody. So, so again, we're trying to use our resources wisely. So I'll just review some tips and then we'll move forward. So members must be renewed for MY25 to claim the t-shirt and decal. It opens May 1st at 6 a.m. They must log into their Girl Scout account and then click the link. They can get to the direct link, which will be on our website, on our main page. It's also on the calendar starting on May 1st. You can go right to the GSVSC calendar and click on it from there. Like I showed you for the decal, if you don't want the decal, leave it at 0, but you must select the drop down for the decal to move forward and complete the registration. Don't forget to select credit card. And then the other thing is that the renewal t-shirts and decals will be mailed to the household mailing address on record for the adult who registered and claimed them. So if you're the one that went and registered and claimed it all for your girls and your troop, that's where we're going to mail them. Sometimes the troop leaders will kind of divide and conquer, which is totally fine. But whoever registered for them, that's who's going to receive them. That's where they're going to go. It just makes it easier for us to expedite. So the thing that we'll say is make sure you go into My GS Now and update your mailing address and your zip code so we don't get them back, because sometimes they come back to us, which is not ideal. So that is all I have. Is there any questions? Hopefully that was helpful. We'll have a little tip sheet available on our website, but hopefully that little demo, there'll be a recording so you can watch it. So let us know if you, I think Melissa, do you have a question? I don't know if she has Melissa Mayo. I don't know if she has her hand raised or not.
Oh, I can see the chat now. There is something in the chat. Nope.
No, I was just trying to put my thumbs up and say thank you.
You're welcome. Great. I'm glad it helped. Okay, awesome. All right, well, we will move along. I think Sandy is next.
Thanks, Jody. Let me just say, y'all, I wish that GS Events was a little more user-friendly. We know it's not. We didn't design it, we promise. If we did, we would try to do things like not have you need a code like we did this time. So we understand that it's not the most convenient system to use. It is the one we have to use. So we want to make sure that we provide opportunities for you to understand that. So Jody, thanks so much for going over that and sharing it. If you all have questions, as she said, this is recorded, so you can look at it again. You can share it with other people. You can certainly reach out to us if you have other questions. But we're excited about all this. So make sure that everybody gets their membership and you renew as early as you can.
Absolutely.
All right. Sandy, you want to start?
Okay, so I had to apologize earlier about fall. Sorry, now I have to apologize because my slide's not up to date, but I can go through it as long as I don't cough too much. Sorry. Okay, so the total sales as of today are 2,714,466. So thank you all so much for all your support and participation. And digital cookie is really going strong, so I expect this number to still grow a little bit. Plus, we still have some report ins. Quite a few troops are going to have a booth this weekend because they want to take advantage of the Saturday shoppers for people getting all their groceries for Easter dinners on Sunday. So we should see a little more of an increase on that number. Right now, we are at, excuse me, 91% of last year total, and we are at 81% of our budget. The digital cookie, though, is at 114% of last year's number. So that is awesome. This is the biggest, the highest number we've ever had since we've been using digital cookie. And we know a lot more girls are participating. And we love that they get the experience of in person as well as online. We have 84% of the girls that's registered are participating, and troops 98%, which is awesome. And that girl number will go up a little more too, because as everybody's entering their allocations of cookies from the troop to the girls, that number will continue to rise a little bit. The gift of caring this year is up 12%, so that's awesome. And I won't go through all the things because I know a lot of you people aren't, you are involved in cookies, but maybe not in the way that I have some other information to share with the service unit teams, and I will be getting that out by in the morning. But one thing we do each year is offer to the service units, if they want to take on the gift of caring cookies that are purchased online that come to the council to get to their troops to distribute, we can coordinate that. But we'll work on that later to see if everyone is interested or whoever's interested in getting the cookies to them. So the girls can actually go out and thank the people and show their appreciation with the cookie gifts and hopefully learn something about the nonprofit that they would be visiting. We have a lot of payments rolling in, and so we appreciate everybody trying to stay on task with deadlines and things. And, you know, it's been a great year. I think that, you know, the weather's been pretty good. Thankfully, health has been pretty good, it seems. Very few people have been missing booze because of illness, and hopefully the girls have been learning a lot about their leadership skills throughout the program. And, you know, hopefully we're going to have a lot of top achievers. Of course, they're all great achievers, but we do celebrate a little extra for our top achievers, our string of pearls, as well as our top winners in the fall and the cookie programs, and the string of charms for the fall winners. And so that save your date is June 21st. More information will go out specifically in the next 2 to 3 weeks based on who wins. We don't publish that to everyone because we just don't want to take a chance on someone showing up thinking that because they saw that they won, and then we have a little disappointed girl, and that's not fun. Unfortunately, it's happened before. So you won't see that on Girl Scout Connections, but if you have girls in your troops that you know sold 1,000 packages or more, they will be getting an invitation. And we will be letting you know as the troop leader of that, the girls that have earned that, know more details later as well. So does anyone have any questions? Okay, well, thank you all, and pass, please, all that too. We don't get to see in person a lot of the troops and parents and the girls, and so please pass on how much we really do appreciate their hard work and effort, and hopefully they will benefit as well through earning their badges and learning their leadership skills at the same time, and have a little fun. Hopefully they've had a little fun with some of the promotions and things. Thank
Sandy,
you.
we did have one question. You said to confirm, you said tentatively Friday, June 21st for String of Pearls.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome.
So let me, I don't know what slide is next, Jody. Is it not just Sean Scott? Okay, program. So before we do, let me chat really quickly about the cookies and budget and implications. So as Sandy mentioned, this is the number we're at is 81% to our budget, and probably going to be we might get to 82% to budget. But what that means, and we always like to say that, and we've said, it's about 20% down, but I want you all to understand what that means. And so being about 20% down is going to be a net, and we're rounding, but it's going to be a net deficit in our cookie program to the budget of about $400,000. So it is a significant amount that we are not going to have coming in through the cookie program. Now, let me say a couple of things. Don't panic, because that does not mean we are $400,000 in the red right now. That is not what that means at all. We have a conservative budget. We had some things built into the budget that have not worked. We've not just been able to kind of get them moving. So we are still in a positive place in the budget. But what that does mean is that we have to think about how we spend money, and particularly as we think about cash flow. And I will tell you, COVID has made me a little gun shy, obviously, because you never know when that next thing is right there that we can't control. So we don't want to spend a lot of our reserves and find ourselves in a place where we don't have that cash flow and reserve should we find ourselves in another COVID-like situation. So what does this mean? Ultimately, what this means is you have seen in our property rally that there's a lot of work being done at a lot of the properties. One of the big pieces we were going to work on at Ishimani was phase 2, which was taking our closets and the structures in the gym that are already there and making them permanent spaces, which means drilling footers into the concrete, environmental engineers. It's a really lengthy and very expensive process. We are going to hold on that right now. We have applied for several grants. We've made it through at least 2 of 3 phases in one really large grant, which is specifically for Ishimani. But let me say, we apply for grants that are specifically for lots of our properties or lots of our areas, because what that means is that we still have our budget for the entire council. So if something is earmarked for one of the properties or one of the locations, that just frees up some of that whole money that we can use anywhere in the council for us to use in the other places where we need it. So we are not giving up on any of this, but I just wanted everyone to know we're kind of putting some things on pause right now. We're looking to possibly reallocate and have things look a little different. We did just apply for the Roanoke Women's Foundation grant, and or that will be this week, and that is going to be to completely finish our outdoor amphitheater. And put a Girl Scout museum, a small area where archives can really display things, and we can have information out there for anyone who's interested and to learn more about Girl Scouting. So as I said, there are a lot of things that were going to happen down in the gym part of Ishimani that we're looking at moving to other places, and we're reevaluating. So the big reason I wanted to share that is that means there's not going to be construction this summer in the gym. And I know that many of the camps particularly here at Ishimani, we're worried about construction and what may be going on. That is not going to be happening this summer. So you will have, you know, the opportunity to use the space without any construction happening there. Questions? And again, I don't want anyone to think that we're in a place where we are, you know, we can't pay our bills. We're not, none of that is happening. But I do like to make sure that I'm transparent, that we share what that information looks like with you all, so you fully understand when decisions have to be made, where they're coming from and why we make them. Financial decisions. Okay. River.
River's out on PTO today, so I'm gonna go over her slides. They're really brief. We have a link where you can check out all of our summer camp details, and the next slide lists our upcoming programs that still have open registrations.
Lots going on. Thanks.
And then property, again, is very brief. Please join the maintenance rally. I try to update as soon as Bobby updates me, which is pretty regularly. He's very good about communicating and taking all those wonderful pictures that I'm able to share. So if you are not currently a member, I encourage you to join.
Yes, it's so good. And let me say, there's so much happening at all the properties. Bobby has been wonderful at the spaces, of course, at Camp Sac. We've had Donna and Rebecca who have been working there and doing lots. We have, oh my gosh, Diane and Janet and the Sugar Hollow folks, the day camp folks helping us at Sugar Hollow. So we certainly want to say thank you to all of you. But if you are not on the rally, please join it. It's a really great way to see what's happening almost real time. As soon as we have updates, we share those. And then a space for you to share with us. Should you be out there and see something, you can take a picture and post it pretty immediately, and we will see it and add it to the list.
Hi, everyone. Happy Volunteer Appreciation Month coming up. And actually, let's start. We always have the calendar in here, and that's the big thing in April. Volunteer Appreciation Month, Volunteer Appreciation Week, and of course, on April the 22nd, Girl Scout Leaders Day. We also have some pretty big signature events coming up, Junior Jam, as well as Mall Madness. And their registration for both of those events are due tomorrow on Friday. So if you're interested in going to either of those events, get your registration in. Next slide, please. I think it's our Volunteer Appreciation Month. Yeah. So we actually have a special webpage just dedicated for ideas that troops have given us, troops across the nation, troops and parents actually here in Virginia Skyline. So if you need some ideas of how to thank the troop leader or the volunteers in your service unit, get on to the GSVSC.org. It's just /GS-holidays, and you'll see in there, I think it's Girl Scout Leader Days on there, but it'll have everything related to Volunteer Appreciation Month. So, but thank you all for all the amazing work you do. We really appreciate it. And that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Jennifer. All right, so if you stop sharing, I will share. Thank you. All right. So as I mentioned, Shine Scout is a company that GSUSA enlisted to do some data for them, some research for them. And you will see here, there's Girl Scout prior research, membership qualitative, but then they had social listening and stakeholder interviews. And I mean, they had so much, there were over 5 million conversations analyzed to get this data. So let me say, this is not the full deck because it was very, very large, and we'd have had to have a 3-hour town hall, and I don't think any of you want that. So, but I did get really the key themes and want to make sure you all understand. And I think we talk about this, it's really interesting to see what parents and girls and leaders or teachers, which obviously leaders function kind of like teachers in what you do, and some of the challenges they're seeing and ways that it can be combated. So here are the key themes that really rose out of this data. Sorry, raising girls today is an evolving process. Obviously we know that. So they're looking to bring up girls that have confidence, who can grow up to be their authentic, powerful selves. Technology is a many-headed hydra, and that caregivers and teachers really don't know how to combat. They said it is the single biggest challenge that was identified by caregivers. Mental wellness is top of mind for parents and teachers alike. It was also in the top 2 for girls, as was the top 2 were technology and mental wellness. Income inequality is dramatically harming the development of girls. The pandemic wreaked havoc on families, and mistrust, isolation, and loss of community is creating a world of disconnected and lonely families. I don't think I said anything there that you all didn't know, right? So here's some background on the look at the American family of kind of what's going on and where things are happening right now. So post-pandemic, and there are things in here I was unaware of. Close to 40% of workers changed jobs during the pandemic. 1 out of 5 Americans moved residences. Schools, of course, and activities were closed for a significant amount of time. And we saw that in a cycle, right? We thought we were good, then Omicron hit. We thought we were, or this next one, then Omicron. Obviously, some after school activities have been slow to come back. Inflation, looming recession has been a big threat. Climate change, mass shootings, political divisiveness, gender wars, income equality, and racial justice are all big, important things post-pandemic to parents, caregivers, and their families. So here are some of the family facts, and this is really important. It says our families are smaller, more diverse, with single mothers and multicultural families growing at a far greater rate. And women are working more and working harder. So this first one, when I was, most of you know, I was at Hollins and higher ed before I came here. And I remember looking down the pipeline, right? Because you're always looking 10 years down the pipeline, which is what the next couple of years would be had I stayed. And we talked about that the number of college age students was kind of doing this on the, I'm trying to make sure I'm getting to that, was doing this on the scale, right? And around the next year to 2 years, it's going to start to do this. The number of college age kids is going to decrease dramatically. And that's not going to come back because birth rates are continuing to decrease. And the American family has shrunk, and with an average household size of 3 now. I will say I'm one of those people who waited older to have kids. I was 34 and 36 and wasn't sure that I was going to have them. My sister doesn't have any. And I know that's a big shift in the way things used to be. So that's something to think about, that either some people are not having them or waiting until later to have kids. Single family households continue to grow. 30% of families are helmed by a single parent, and 21% of American households are led by a single mother. And that stat has doubled in the past 50 years. So this one right here is one that we as Girl Scouts, I think we got to figure out. And I'll be really honest with you, at our CEO meeting, when this was presented to us in October, I raised my hand and said, okay, I really have a concern with this one. It says close to 80% of women, 25 to 54, work outside of the home. And that's not a problem. The problem is that our model still requires, and you all know better than anyone, that our volunteers give 5 times the national average to volunteering for Girl Scouts than any other volunteer opportunity. So our model has not changed, even though the way parents work has changed. So we need to figure out, and I talked about this, episodic volunteers. We talk about in our council, obviously sharing the load. And I know you all ask parents to help, and so that just 2 people aren't doing this on their own. And it's really important. Yes, Diane made a great point too. More grandparents are raising their children, and grandparents are limited on their income. Yes, and their time, right? As research, I'm going to tell you, listen, I am, how old am I now? I'll be 48. I was like, how old are my kids? And I'm telling you, it's not the same. Most of my kids' parents, their friends' parents are 10 years younger than me, is like the average. And I'm telling you, I feel like they can run circles around me. So you're right. I mean, things change. America is rapidly becoming more diverse. So the census data shows us that the fastest growing segment of population is multiracial and multicultural. Children of color right now comprise more than 50% of all children nationally. What does that mean? Why is that important? When we talk about DEI/RJ work and making sure that we are that people are welcome and that they see themselves participating in whatever our organization is or whatever activity we have to offer, this is why. Because if we aren't able to make those people feel welcome and want to participate, they're not going to participate in our program. And we can see that that number is rising, not getting lower. All right, so ethnic trends in single parent households. I don't think any of this, at least for me, was not surprising. You can see that age or the ethnic breakdown here. Largest population is in the Black and African American, followed by American Indian and Hispanic or Latina. So women working, labor force participation rate of mothers with children under the age of 6 by racial and ethnic group. So, I mean, look at this, y'all. This is, you know, that's a pretty significant number. All of these, in each of these areas, at least 56 to 60 or to 71% of those mothers that are working have children under the age of 6. And listen, as I said, I feel older, but I do love that my kids are 12 and 14 and can do a little more on their own. When they were 3, 4, 5, 6, oh my gosh, it was another job when you came home from work, right? Because they couldn't take care of themselves. So that's something to think about. So here is the other piece. Remember, it said women are working more and working harder. That and yes, this says Black mothers are more likely than any other racial or ethnic group to be their family's breadwinners. But here's what I want you to look at, regardless of the racial or ethnic breakdown here. In any population, at least 60% of the women are either breadwinners or co-breadwinners, which means they're not working part-time 8 to 2. They're working long days, long hours, they're traveling, they're doing whatever they have to do to make that happen. And again, this is where our model needs to have some adjustment to make sure that we are meeting the needs of these people that we need to come in and participate and be leaders in our programming. Obviously, America's becoming more diverse everywhere. So I think this is interesting. A lot of this, it says the young families are looking for more affordable, low-cost states to live in. And so they are moving to what they're calling ex-urbia, which are areas surrounding urban centers and more affordable states. And then this last one is pretty fascinating. Half of all the nation's children of color live in only 5 states. And so next they talked about child poverty. So the poverty rate in 2021 was 16.9, but varied by state. And of course, 2020 was showing, 2022 was showing a big spike upward as COVID programs end. And that's, you know, the same thing happened even in nonprofits. Melissa and Vicki can tell you better than anybody that grants, those opportunities are much smaller now because people ran out of that COVID support and funding. But here's what I want to say about Virginia. One of the other things I'm working on and having some meetings with colleges around the area so that we can get some of their students to work on this data with us, is that Virginia, and this is right, you see we're in the blue, it says between 11 to 14.9%. Our poverty rate is right around 12 in Virginia. But here's the challenge. We can't just look at the poverty rate. And by the way, that is $26,000 a year for a family of 4. So that's what's considered the poverty level. At the 200% mark, so double that, right? $52,000 for a family of 4, which with the way things are right now, right? You know, if you're looking for an apartment or a home, you're not going to find one for less than, I mean, $1,200 is a steal right now. Most things are about $2,000, which is insane. I mean, I know not in every place, but that's sort of the generic. But that 200% mark. So again, at $56,000 for a family of 4, which is still really stretching. 40% of the kids in Virginia fall in that area, which means there's a big 30% or 28% of our kids who are what I'm calling lost, meaning they are not in the poverty level, so they don't always get those benefits. They don't have opportunities. They don't have support and other funding that they may get in other spaces. But because they're above that poverty line, but it's also not enough to have all the extras. And the things like Girl Scouting and the other things that we want to do. So this is really important to me and a part of that big research that we're working on that we can present all across the state, particularly in our council, for funding to make sure that, again, we can hopefully offer Girl Scouting to anybody who wants to participate and not have to worry about some of these financial challenges. So after school programs, they talked about this. 8 million kids are enrolled in after school care, but there are 25 million more who would be enrolled if one was available to them. And the biggest barrier is money, what we just talked about. And roughly a quarter of those parents pay nothing for after school. And of the ones who do, it's about $100 a week per kid. Pandemic, lost jobs. Obviously, these are the things that happen. Nothing that I need to sort of share that we haven't already talked about. One that I think is really, or two that you will see come up in these themes here is self-agency isolates and social anxiety. You're going to start to see that come up more in what we're discussing. So here's a look at the American girl right now. More than 90% of children over the age of 2 play mobile games, with kids between 5 and 8 spending about an hour on there. Parents of children under 5 say that 48% of those kids have access to a tablet and 55% to a smartphone. And 80% of kids between the ages of 5 and 11 interact with the tablet and 63% with the smartphone. And again, I'm probably, as I'll say, preaching to the choir, right? I know you all deal with kids and you see them with those phones all the time. But here's some interesting things. Time spent on computers and social media rises for lower income families. Those who do not have access to after school activities or supervised care. Remember, we just talked about that there's still 75% of the kids are wanting after school care. Only a quarter of them are in it. And they can't afford it. And lots of them have parents that are working and aren't able to be there after school. And young Black and Hispanic girls are more likely to own a smartphone earlier because they are at home alone after school a lot. A lot of the tween girls have access to the phone and certainly use social media by the time they're 12. YouTube is the #1 platform for kids 8 to 12. And the migration to TikTok starts at about 10. So one of the interesting things this person who did the data said is, as she talked to the girls, she asked them, who are your heroes? What women are you looking up to? Who do you want to be? And she said, I knew not one of them because every single one of them was a YouTuber, a TikToker, or some social media influencer. This slide is, I would say, probably in this is one of the 3 hardest for me to read. We talk about technology and it said every parent they spoke to decries it, but of course every child craves it. And the most vulnerable children are served technology at their most challenging moments. It's the after school program for the ones who can't afford it. It's the voice of the mother's helper when she's working and can't be there. It's the connective tissue for children of divorce because they're not with both parents, they're moving back and forth. And it is the only window that exhausted parents can open to a bigger world. So, attitudes and views towards social listening. A key narrative takeaway when they talk to caregivers from girls 5 to 12 was the family time together is a key. And that has been a change post-COVID. So there are some good changes, right? Because everyone got to spend that time back together and realize remember what it was like before we were all way over programmed. They're prioritizing that time again. Girls' mental well-being were major findings in this. Again, mental well-being and happiness of girls 5 to 12 is the biggest concern for caregivers. And the second bullet was interesting to me. Parents said that it was the definition of what it was to be a girl is in flux with no clear online consensus of what the new girl, meaning today's girl 5 to 12, looks like. Caregivers, and it says mothers specifically, were very vocal in discussing what they don't want their daughters to be. They don't want them to be constrained by the past. They don't want them to be constrained by gender barriers or to suffer the way they did as children. Instead, they want them to be able to express their feelings, to not be focused on their physical appearance, and instead on their minds and their abilities. When caregivers talk online about their mental health, they actually tend to divide it into two ways: the acute, which is depression, anxiety, stressors that cause them, and then the aspirational: self-esteem, academics, athletics, social skills. And conversations about the acute obviously were more visible among caregivers of the middle school age girls, because I think the aspirational impact the acute, right? So you start to see the actual, I would say, the symptoms in the acute. And they take place on anonymous forums like Reddit. And part of the reason is, well, yeah, here it is. You'll see in a minute. Part of the reason they said is that concerns about mental health and challenges that their daughter may be having, the parents, specifically the mothers, tended to internalize that and felt like it was a reflection of them and them being a poor parent. High volume of caregivers seek online advice. They're concerned about low self-esteem or that their lack of confidence will rub off on their daughter. They attribute a multitude of issues to a lack of self-esteem, and they often equate a child's healthy self-esteem with good parenting. So that was a really interesting one for me. They shared when they shared success in helping to boost their daughter's confidence, they often mention sports or physical activities because it's strength, confidence. But they also talked about the importance of finding the right coach or team leader. And in our case, obviously, volunteers, co-leaders, that's why you all are so important, because it really impacts a child's life in such a major way. When they talked about leadership, they didn't use the words leadership, right? They talked about empowering girls so they become natural leaders if they want to be. They talked about them being able to show their individuality, to pursue what they want. And they did say that discourse indicates that they are expected to be very intentional with words they use for girls. And that they have to be conscious of their parental actions and ruthless in questioning inherited beliefs about women. I love some of these, and these are items that came in there. The social acceptance in friends. Many caregivers obviously show concern for their lack of friends or quality friends or social skills. And we talked about this is a direct impact of COVID, right? We spend 3 years inside, and it does make it a little less comfortable to go back and put yourself in uncomfortable situations with new people, maybe. And that caregivers noticed, again, that setback during COVID, and that many conversations are triggered by birthday parties or other social events. I can tell you, I don't know if you all have seen it, but there have been multiple times, not just one, multiple times pre and post COVID, where my children have been invited to a birthday party and they are the only person, the only friend there outside of family. Screen time. So despite being concerned with their screen time, they admit They don't set the best example, especially among those who work from home, right? I can tell you again, this is hard for me. I'm really never off. I always have my phone. If there's an emergency, I have to be ready. You know, I'm never ever off. Even vacation, I check emails. I have things I do because we just have to. So it's very hard to set that example as a parent when you may not be able to do the same. I do put it down during dinner and things like that, and we try to do it where we can. Caregivers actively seek advice on how to limit their exposure, and that the consensus is that after school programs, particularly sports and outdoor activities, are most helpful, because if you're doing those things, you're not looking at your phone. So key findings there. Obviously, the pandemic shifted the approach towards parenting, where they're prioritizing more time together. They love the after school clubs and activities as a way to build communities, as compared to play dates. Sports are considered very important. Caregivers want to expose their daughters to multiple activities, and that clubs and summer camps are largely considered the best way to expose them to outdoor. So I'm not going to move through this, but other than to say, here's the challenge, right? They want to know how many activities are too much, and which ones are appropriate, and here are the things that impact it, right? Time, cost, transportation, weekend commitments on that. Obviously, less affluent caregivers don't seek which one is the best opportunity. Instead, they're seeking what works for them, what's in their community, what is available, what is free, what has transportation. So social discourse indicates there is a very high awareness of Girl Scouting, but a low familiarity with what we actually do. That caregivers online, they found out caregivers are not fully aware of what we do outside of cookies. That Girl Scouts is most often compared to Scouts BSA. And there is a common perception that girls who are more outdoorsy benefit from Scouts BSA. And the top 5 most mentioned online organizations were these, 3 of which are girls. So, you know how word cloud works, right? When she asked, what do you think of when you think of Girl Scouting? Look what came up the most. So caregiver interviews. This is really, I'm going to go over this because this is the same thing. Other than play dates have fallen out of favor because they're suspicious. They don't know how things, they don't know families anymore because of COVID. They are preferred activities at a neutral location. Safety is a big concern and can only participate if it happens at school. So here are the quotes that they gave. I have to reprogram my brain to not parent like I was parented. I want her to be strong, to have a voice, the one I lost a long time ago. I want her to be her, so I follow her lead. I can never let them outside. Here, I just can't afford all those things. And how would I get her there? So she finds things to do on the computer. She's smart that way. They are terrified to go to school. What can I do? So, again, here's what they share about the girls. That their girls are artists and performers, big emphasis on crafts and creativity. They point to social media as a source of encouraging kids to play music, dance, and be creative. Parents believe in exposing their children to as many activities as possible. Dance, gymnastics, art programs seem to be what they desire. They push sports because it's a one-stop shop, right? It's anti-tech, physical fitness, friendship, character building, adult community. Parents are also looking for a child's unique self to be encouraged. The first choice of activities are usually something the mother wanted to do as a child. And that children have a strong voice in their activities by the time they're 7 to 8. So again, key issues for the girls. This is what parents said. Look at the top 2. But we don't need to forget that there's a lack of trust in other parents in the world. things that we see happening every day, the objectification of girls and yeah, post-pandemic loneliness, social skills, bullying, all of these things. So the teacher ones are really hard. And again, you all as leaders probably really are going to relate to these. The teacher she spoke to said that really they have to focus on Maslow before Bloom, that right now they got to make sure that the kids walk in and that they have been fed, that they were able to sleep, that they have a place to live, that they have supplies, before they can even think about teaching them anything. That there is a mental wellness crisis, that girls need specific attention, that there's obviously a big idolization and sexualization of girls on social media. The mommification of girls at home. So one teacher talked about that during COVID, when they had the Zoom, that several girls, 7, 8, 9, would have to get up and various times and go take care of younger siblings. The girls need exposure to a bigger future. That if it's not at school, it's not going to happen. And then girls need to know they are valuable, especially BIPOC girls. BIPOC, for those of you, I think everyone knows, but I always like to say what acronyms: Black, Indigenous, People of Color. So here are the quotes from the teachers' perspectives. These girls are little mommies. They carry such a burden. None of them have any attention capacity. The emotional challenges are real. These kids have seen too much. If it doesn't happen at school, they will not get there. They have lost their abuelas, the grandmothers. That connective tissue has been lost. It has decimated communities. We have to be their mirrors and their windows. That one is another one that's really hard for me. So here's what the caregiver said. They had a broad awareness of Girl Scouts, but they didn't understand its value today. It's a lack of clarity for what we stand for, what it offers. Said it was not relevant, invisible to today's parents. Questions on safety, specifically because of Scouts VSCA, was a fear of activities at a stranger's house or location. Challenge with the cookie program, too much work, gendered and not safe. Lack of transparency. BIPOC parents question diversity and if their daughter would feel welcome. Membership barrier, no visible signs of what the organization does for the community. Without generational participation or understanding, how can they ascribe a value? They don't relate outside activities to Girl Scouts at all. And the inability to find a troop, arrange transportation, or pay fees is a big barrier. So here are the quotes that parents gave directly about Girl Scouting. I don't know if that is still around. I haven't seen them in a long time. I honestly have no idea what they do besides sell cookies. I think it's just a place where girls hang out and stuff. They just do things like arts and crafts. The Boy Scouts get to do the cool stuff, the outdoor stuff. Why do they make those girls bake and sell cookies? It's so gendered. Clearly, not everyone understands what we do in any of those statements. And she found that surprisingly and very frustratingly, that so many of the mothers they talked to were Girl Scouts when they grew up, and they had great things to say about it, but they never thought about it for their girls. It seemed very distant and unavailable. So here's the quote. I loved it. I love the sisterhood. I love to do the different activities that we did. I have really great memories of being a Girl Scout, but honestly, right now, I couldn't even tell you how to sign my daughter up. No clue. Here are more quotes on Girl Scouts. It would need to be at the school with other families, then I would trust it. I looked into it at one point, but there were no troops nearby. I would never put my girl outside a store asking for a handout. I think you have to know somebody. We don't know anybody. Do you have to be invited? Terrified my daughter is going to want to do that. All that work, such a commitment. They've clearly talked to someone during cookie season. Right? So here are the key takeaways, y'all, that she gave. The need is enormous. 3 out of every 4 children are looking for a space and a place to learn. Technology is raising our most vulnerable children. They are learning how to consume, not explore. Girls are crumbling under comparison. Families have lost community, and humans are losing the art of connection. So here's the opportunity. Here's what parents said they want. They want to open up a myriad of activities and opportunities for the girls. They want to give them self-confidence and self-esteem. They want them off their phones and connecting in real time, in real life, with others in their community. They want them to learn who they are and how to express that community. They want to raise children who value giving back to their community. What they want is Girl Scouts. Girl Scouts resonated with every person they spoke to. And it resonated with girls too. So she said, hey, why don't we make up a club together? Let's make up our own club. Tell me what you want in your club. And here's what the girls said, y'all. This also is one of those like huge light bulbs, right? I felt like it was just shining on us. They want to put on plays and sing songs. They want to do science experiments. They want to bake together. They want to go on field trips. They want to learn new things. They want to make friends and be friends. They want to include everyone and say nice things and never be mean. And one girl finally said, that sounds like Girl Scouts. So as she said, the answer is Girl Scouts. It resonated with everyone they spoke to in concept form. Now we have to make it a reality. We have to meet them where they are and take them to where they can be. So, you know, and this was for us, it says, and the answer is right in front of me, right here in this room, and it is with you all. It starts with each and every one of us. And Christine, I see you asking, is there a basic article write-up that I could submit? Not from this, she hasn't done one. You know what, that's actually a good question. She may have done like an article with this. Let me find out. If not, we can certainly create something. But I absolutely think this is something we should share everywhere. And I loved what she put at the end. We believe the most important data points are heartbeats. So that's a lot of data, but I felt like it was really important to share with you all as people who are boots on the ground. You're there, you're working with the girls, you talk to the parents. You see this. This is the challenge that we face, that these girls need us now more than ever, but are probably more cautious and concerned and are less available to get to us than ever. So let me stop. Questions, comments, thoughts? I'll stop sharing, Jody, so we can get back to the other one too. Thank you, Emily. Let you and I chat offline too.
Sounds good.
Well, let me say thank you again. As we move, well, I think we'll go to sharing now, right? I think that's next, Jody, which you don't have to put it up. That's fine. Or you can. Okay, good. Thank you.
Sorry, process.
As we move to that, you know, I do want to say thank you. I know we are coming up on Volunteer Appreciation Month, and we won't have a town hall during that time, but I'm gonna have lots of time to get to see each and every one of you. But you know, this data to me underscores, we know we all live it here, but it underscores why the work that you do is so important, and how impactful the work that you do and what you give to these girls is to their life, their feelings, their mental health, to everything about them. So thank you for all that you do. If anyone wants any more of that data, if you have questions about it and you don't want to ask here and you want to reach out, please feel free to do that. Okay. Questions, sharing? Want to give everybody an opportunity?
Thanks for the great info.
Thanks, Shannon. Yes. Yeah, it was, listen, I mean, I think I called Melissa and Jody and Sandy from Las Vegas when they presented it and was like, my mind is blown. There's so much here. We have to share it.
I just want to let everybody know, Adventurers just had their annual training weekend, Wild Women's Weekend. We had 40 participants this year. That is the largest group we have ever had. We actually had planned to have 42 and 2 had to bail on us at the last minute. But we trained 11 new coordinators. We also had 2 representatives that came up from South Carolina, Mountains to Midlands group. They are working through their own adventuring program through Trailblazers, and they are using us as a model in order to reach out to their girls down there with their council, providing more outdoor activities. And I'm hoping with the new group of people we've got coming in, we sort of spread our wings in some additional directions, gotten some representation from other parts of council. So I'm very optimistic that we're going to be able to provide programming in some other formats, get some new other ideas, and also in other areas where maybe we've not had as many activities in the past.
Great. Thanks, Debbie. And congrats on such a great, I heard it was wonderful.
It was wonderful. It was a little overwhelming having that many people. So,
Yeah, right.
I mean, we've outgrown every space we've tried to move into. So yet again, we will be on the search for someplace new again next year.
Anything else to share? I will share that you will be seeing this week a product program survey coming into your inbox if you are involved in the product program. So please, 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 please take the time to answer those that survey for us. This is really going to impact the way we move forward with fall product and cookies, timing, the way that we do all of this. So it is really imperative that you, if you are not the product person, please say to your product person, you're going to be getting this, make sure that you answer it. All right. Well, thank you all so much. Jody, we have the slide for it. Yep. Okay. Please, thank you all so much for being with us and listening. I know data is not always the most fun thing to hear about, but I thought it was really important to share those statistics and that information with you about the state of girls and kind of what they found. Next month will be service unit roundup. I don't know what I'm having my own little, I guess my own little rodeo over here. We're gonna round up, but round table, it's service unit round table next month, and then we will be back with town hall in May. All right. Well, thanks everybody for being on. We really appreciate you. Thank you, Shannon. Oh, Diane, I'm sorry. I hope everyone's better.